If you look at Earth from far away at night, you start to see something that is easy to miss from the ground. The planet has a pattern on its skin, not a face, not a wound, just a pattern. Lights gather along coastlines. Roads connect bright places to other bright places. Ships cross oceans. Airports blink. And slowly, if you keep looking, it stops feeling like separate cities and starts feeling like one connected thing. From inside it, of course, it feels normal. A road is just a road. A city is just a city. A grocery store is just where you go when your refrigerator has given up emotionally. But pull the camera back, and civilization begins to look less like a pile of human decisions and more like a system with a direction. It grows into new places. It pulls in energy. It changes the land around it. And wherever it goes, it tends to leave behind more of itself. Which leads to a weird question. What if civilization is not just something humans built? What if civilization behaves like an invasive species? To be clear, I do not mean humans are the invasive species. People are not tiny villains walking around with coffee and zoning permits. I mean civilization itself. The roads, cities, farms, machines, money systems, schedules, habits, and expectations that spread through the world and quietly teach more of the planet to operate like they do. The first clue is habitat. Most living things adapt to a place. Civilization does something a little more dramatic. It changes the place until the place works better for civilization. A forest does not stay a forest for long if it is in the way of timber, roads, and houses. A wetland becomes land you can build on. A river gets straightened. A coastline becomes a port. Scientists sometimes call this niche construction. Living things changing their surroundings in ways that change how they survive. Beavers do it with dams. Corals do it with reefs. Ants do it with colonies. Humans do it with concrete, pipes, power lines, irrigation, and the mysterious ability to put a coffee shop almost anywhere and immediately call the neighborhood up and coming. And this is where the story has to stay honest. Cities are not just bad. They protect people. They make hospitals possible. They make schools, art, medicine, friendship, and very strong opinions about noodles possible. But ecologically, a city is not neutral. It is a habitat built mostly for one kind of life, civilized human life. And once that habitat exists, it usually needs more support. More water from somewhere else. More food from somewhere else. More power. More roads. More space to park the cars that need the roads that serve the city. So civilization does not simply live in an environment. It slowly edits the environment around itself. The second clue is movement. In nature, distance matters. Mountains slow things down. Oceans slow things down. Climate slows things down. A seed cannot usually just decide to check out another continent for the weekend. Civilization changes that. It builds ships, planes, highways, canals, railroads, and supply chains. Suddenly, a plant, an insect, a virus, a machine part, or a plastic wrapper can travel farther in a week than many species could move in 1,000 years. That does not mean every introduced species becomes invasive. Most do not. But modern civilization is extremely good at moving life across boundaries that used to matter. A plant can arrive without the insects that normally eat it. A pest can find trees that never evolved defenses against it. A decorative vine can escape a garden and begin a second career as the neighborhood's most confident problem. And civilization does not only move living things, it moves matter. Carbon that was underground becomes air. Sand becomes concrete. Ore becomes phones. Oil becomes plastic. Then the plastic breaks into tiny pieces and shows up in rivers, soil, oceans, and places where nobody invited it. So the system is not just spreading across Earth, it is rearranging Earth. The third clue is simplification. Natural ecosystems are complicated in a way that feels almost rude. There are plants talking to fungi, insects feeding birds, roots changing soil, predators shaping behavior, microbes doing invisible paperwork under everything. Civilization prefers things it can read. A forest is difficult to count. A crop field is easier. A wild meadow is messy. A lawn behaves. A winding river has opinions. A straight channel is much better at looking obedient on a map. Again, this is not a simple morality play. Farms feed people, roads connect families, houses keep children warm. And if your appendix ever tries to start a rebellion, you will suddenly have deep respect for the hospital parking lot. The point is not that human landscapes are automatically bad. The point is that civilization often turns complex habitats into places optimized for human goals. That trade has costs. Biodiversity can fall. Soil can weaken. Water cycles can change. Animals lose the paths they used to move through. The world becomes easier for civilization to use, but harder for many other forms of life to recognize. That is one signature of an invasive force. It does not just arrive in a place, it changes how the place works. The fourth clue is speed. Biological evolution is powerful, but most of the time it is slow. Genes do not hold emergency meetings and announce a new update on Friday. Culture basically does. A tool can spread in one generation. A law can change a city. A market can reshape a forest. A new technology can become normal before anyone has finished asking whether normal was a good idea. This is why civilization acts so strangely compared with ordinary organisms. It evolves through teaching, copying, trade, convenience, fear, status, and profit. Take a road. At first, someone builds it because people need to get somewhere. Then houses appear near it. Then jobs depend on it. Then maintenance needs money. Money needs budgets. Budgets need taxes. Jobs need commutes. Commutes need more roads. After a while, the thing humans built starts creating requirements for humans. Cities work the same way. A city needs food, water, energy, waste systems, repair workers, laws, deliveries, and 1,000 boring details nobody wants to think about until one of them stops working. In that sense, a city has a metabolism. Stuff comes in. Stuff goes out. Growth feels normal. Stillness begins to feel like failure. And at that point, civilization starts to look less like a tool and more like a creature made of tools. Here is the unsettling version of the idea. Maybe humans created civilization, but we also live inside what civilization wants from us. We wake up to alarms. We move through traffic. We trade time for money. We depend on power grids, shipping networks, screens, passwords, schedules, and food grown somewhere we will probably never see. No single person designed the whole thing. No mayor woke up one morning and said, "Today I shall build a planet-scale machine that makes everyone answer email." But the machine exists anyway. And sometimes it feels like humans are not driving civilization so much as negotiating with it. It wants energy. It wants attention. It wants land, speed, extraction, production, connectivity, and usually one more password reset than anyone has the strength for. That does not mean civilization has a mind. It means systems can behave without intentions. A traffic jam has no brain, but it still acts like a thing. A market has no nervous system, but it can still push people around. A city has no stomach, but it still needs to be fed. Civilization may not be alive, but it can act alive enough to matter. So what is the grounded answer? Civilization is not literally a species. It has no DNA of its own. It does not reproduce like a plant, a fungus, or an insect. And humans are not outside nature. Humans are animals. We are part of Earth too. There is no magic line where a bird nest counts as natural, but an apartment building does not. The better question is not whether civilization is natural. Nothing gets to be outside nature. The better question is what kind of natural force civilization has become. Right now, it often behaves like an invasive ecological process. It spreads quickly. It crosses old boundaries. It simplifies habitats. It moves materials faster than ecosystems can absorb them. And it creates conditions that make more civilization feel necessary. But this is also where the story can turn. Invasive behavior is not destiny. Humans can notice the pattern. We can measure damage. We can restore wetlands. We can design cities differently. We can protect animal corridors. We can change energy systems, farming methods, materials, incentives, and rules. Civilization is powerful because it spreads, but it is also powerful because it can learn. So maybe the scary question is not, are humans bad? That question is too small. The better question is whether civilization can stop behaving like a stranger on its own planet. Can it repair some of what it changes? Can it leave room for other life? Can it become less like a system that only spreads and more like one that belongs? Maybe civilization is young in that sense. Brilliant, loud, hungry, inventive, dangerous. Still learning how to live in the place that made it possible. Maybe the next stage is not conquering more of Earth. Maybe it is learning how to be part of Earth again. So what do you think? Are humans part of nature, or did civilization become something else?